Hey everybody, welcome to the Online Teaching Show. My name's Tim. So glad to have you here, and thank you for bearing with me through that little glitch. The first time that's ever happened in, I don't know, over 100 and something shows that I've done, where I got the eternal wheel of death showing me that it was loading to go live, but it did go live. It's just that I didn't think that I was live, and so I had to cancel that and make a new stream. So anyway, thank you so much. I am back from the parallel universe. Mary, thanks for hanging with us there. Hello to Golden Pineapple. Glad you could tune in for the first time. Welcome, welcome. Who else do we have here? We've got Kathleen. Hello, Kathleen. If you are watching live, you'll see the chat there on Facebook underneath or on the right, and same on YouTube. Please say hello. It's always good to see where folks are tuning in from. Rayanna, again, good to see you. Familiar name here on the channel. Thanks for coming. Feel free to say hi in the chat as we kickstart things and get going. Hi, Joanna. I wanted to let you know that we are, myself and Crystal Weber from Crystal Clear ESL, are running our second time annual Level Up Teaching Summit. So this really is for you. If you're an online teacher wanting to go independent, maybe you are independent, you want to build your business even more, and we've got some really fantastic speakers this year. It's happening on November the 10th and 11th. And you can just go on over to levelupteachingsummit.com. And I'll actually stick that link if it's easier for you to click right in the chat there. If you're watching, would love to have you join. It is completely free. Today is the last day for the early bird platinum ticket. The platinum ticket basically gives you access to all the recordings and some really great, valuable gifts from our speakers, exclusive for platinum member upgrades. So last year we had over 1,000 people throughout the day coming through, and that was really, really amazing. And we're hoping to make it even bigger this year. So invite your friends if you are in some Facebook groups and want to share that link. It's levelupteachingsummit.com. So that's happening on November 10th and 11th. We're doing it in 2 days this year, November 10th and 11th from 9 till 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. So sort of 2 mornings instead of one really long day. And we've got 11 or 12 great speakers talking about all kinds of things, from getting started to finding your first student, all the way to using different social media strategies, different marketing tactics to attract folks and potential students to your website or to your teaching business. We've got people talking about passive income. We've got people talking about using video, building your teaching brand, other sources of income that online teachers can tap into as well. So it's going to be a really exciting 2 mornings of learning. So don't miss it. It's going to be great, November 10th and 11th. And again, if you're watching, I always put the plug in for coming on the show. You may not think you have a story to tell, but really it's great to just hear about online teachers who are doing different things in the online teaching space. Whether you're right at the beginning or you're far along and you want to come on and chat about how things are going, would love to have you on the channel. It's really casual here and friendly, and just a chance to share your story and share your story with the world on YouTube. So please reach out. My email address is below if you're ever interested in that. And that's what happened to my next guest, Jess, who tunes into the show and reached out to me. I think it was a couple weeks ago, maybe, and I'm really happy to have her on. We're going to be talking about what happened during the double reduction policy in China, how she waited quite a long time to sort of start with her Chinese students. She's currently working with VIP Kid, like many folks that watch the channel. So we're going to chat about that. And just the things that she's been doing since starting to teach online. So, Jess, are you ready? Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's great.
I kind of just introduced you already, so maybe
I
heard. But yeah, please introduce yourself for those that don't know who you are, and just a little bit about your teaching journey. Yeah, love to hear.
Okay.
Where you're from.
I'm Jess. I'm from Vancouver Island in Canada. So Victoria is the name of the city. And I've worked with kids for like as long as I can remember. So in Victoria, I was an art instructor, and I worked in preschools and before and after school care and summer camps and all of that. And then in 2018, I was sort of between Victoria and Northern Ireland. I was kind of living between both, and I decided I wanted to teach English. So I applied to take the CELTA, like the Cambridge CELTA course, which is just the Cambridge brand of TEFL. And I did that in 2019 in Belfast. And I went back to BC with my CELTA, back to Victoria, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to move abroad. So I applied to some schools in Poland, and I was hired to work in Poland. And I applied for the work permit, got the work permit. I was ready to go, and COVID happened. And so my work permit was canceled. And not only that, but my job that I was working at a preschool and a before and after school care, and I was an art instructor in BC, in Victoria, that was canceled as well. Everything was closed.
Oh my
so
gosh.
No work permit for Poland, no job in Victoria. So with my CELTA, I'm like, well, I can teach English. So I started looking up what I could do online, and I found VIP Kid and Palfish. So I applied to both of them. I made it through all the mock lessons and everything, and I started working for both of them, and it was great. And then after a little bit of time, maybe a few months after the whole cancellation of the visa, I decided to move to my mom's hometown in Italy. So I was like, okay, I have to leave here. So I moved to Italy, to my mom's town, and I was just teaching online with Palfish and VIP Kid. Then Poland messages. We're open. The border's open. You can come teach here. So I left Italy. I went to Poland. I spent a year teaching English at a bilingual kindergarten while teaching with VIP Kid. I stopped with Palfish when I moved to Poland because I didn't really like teaching from a cell phone. Palfish was on a phone. It wasn't on a computer, and I didn't like it. Right. So I was just working bilingual kindergarten and VIP Kid for about a year. Then I decided, okay, I'm going to move back to my mom's town in Italy and just work online. And this is summer 2021 at this point. So I moved back to Italy. I'm just with VIP Kid. I'm fully booked. Everything's great. And the Chinese crackdown happens, and it was just chaos, and everything was happening really fast. I don't know if you remember at that time, it was very fast, and people were sort of scrambling around. And I didn't have WeChat. I didn't have WeChat contacts. I didn't even know what WeChat was. I was at this point just signing into VIP Kid, working, and that's it. Called it a day. So on the Facebook groups, everyone's talking about WeChat and everything. And I was like, I don't think I want anything to do with this. It sounds like too much. I don't want to. I thought I had to create my own lessons, and I was just overwhelmed with it all. So I just pushed it aside and looked for new companies. So I started working with Engu and Cambly, but mostly Engu, and I was teaching mostly Japanese adults, but I also had other students from Korea and Taiwan. And I did this for about a year after the Chinese crackdown, but it was exhausting. The pay is not as great. To make a decent paycheck, you have to put in a lot of time, and I just felt myself getting tired. And that's how I ended up finding your course online. So I'm like, I have to change. I can't do this longer. So I'm like, I think I want to find out how people are doing the independent teaching. So.
Okay. All right. Stop right there for a sec. So so you sort of saw all the things going on, like with the people moving independent, and what about that seemed overwhelming? Because I think people that sort of see that kind of conversation happening maybe in Facebook groups and stuff get overwhelmed. And so just talk me through, like you said, the curriculum thing, like what else was sort of like overwhelming for you?
It was mostly the curriculum, because I had just come from working at a school in Poland where I had to create my own lesson plans and all of that. And And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that for every lesson. So I was thinking in that sort of frame of mind where I would have to pull, or like my CELTA days of creating these detailed lesson plans for every student. And I'm like, oh, I kind of just like signing into VIP Kid, teaching, closing my computer, and that was it. I was feeling a bit lazy, I guess. So I didn't
but I think
I didn't want to create these lessons for each student. And I was thinking, I'm going to have to figure out their level, tailor a lesson for their level. And I have to figure out like would this be too advanced for them? Is this too low of a level? And I was just feeling very frightened by all of it. And just thinking of doing this, maybe if I had 10 lessons a day, that's a lot of work to make it yourself. And that's what I just didn't want to do that. So that's why, but then throughout that year, I learned so much that, it doesn't have to be that way. So that's where my change came. And I was like, I think maybe I made a mistake at that time. I should have researched it a little bit more, but it's never too late.
It's never too late. And I think, there might be other people that were in the same situation, right? A lot of people that go through my course are like, I wish that I had kept contact with my students and that I had, at least gotten on WeChat. And because WeChat is not a tool that's going to help you find your old students.
Right.
It's very closed. It's great for once you have contacts, you're able to sort of like a messaging system for those that don't know, just like sort of WhatsApp, way more advanced than WhatsApp, but it's for us foreigners who are using it, really it's just a messaging system to our contacts. And there's a few other little things you can do there, but so you took the Launch Going Solo course. Thank you. That's great. I'm glad you were in it.
I found the webinar because I was searching. I'm like, I have to do something different. Like I was really like just stressed and I was tired. And I found the webinar because I've been following you since the VIP Kid days. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take this. And then I purchased the course right away, like right after it finished, and took the course. It was 2 weeks last November. So almost a year ago. And it was amazing. And I just followed it step by step. And I created everything. I think that I had to change my mindset. Like you don't have to have the students to get started. You just have to like create a system so you're ready if the students come to you instead of the other way around. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to create everything while I'm still working. And that's what I did. I created everything that I needed to create. And I already had a website that I had just started working on. So I got to sort of put my little school advertisement on my website. And it was nice to create everything.
Yeah. And I think, you don't, like I always say, I mean, the website is like optional. So if you're teaching Chinese students, it's not going to be super helpful for you because a lot of times, they're not able to access our websites because of back-end scripts to do with sites that are blocked in China and stuff like that. But maybe it was a good way for you to kind of organize things, and you have a lot of things going
Everything's
on now.
on one site now, which is kind of nice for me to have like a visual of where everything is. So
you didn't get started right away with independent students, right? So tell everyone what you're sort of doing now, and like I know you've got a TPT store as well.
Yeah. So, independent students, online students, not so much, but I always had independent students because of where I'm living. So I've had like Polish students and I have Italian students right now. But that is a little bit different because it was like I'm living in a small town, and when you are the English teacher in the town, people come to you. Like I don't have to really like market myself here. People know me; they know that that I am teaching, so they sort of come to me like, "Hey, can you teach me? Could you teach my son, my daughter, whatever?" And so I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So I have students, but I'm not teaching them online. I'm teaching them privately in person, or sometimes online. I've taught on Zoom and Koala Go and stuff like that. But mostly right now I'm meeting with them in person because we live near each other. So that's like, I have private students, but they're in person. Like it's a little bit different. And then as far as my private students, I wanted to teach privately in China. And so I was a bit, after I completed the course, I was like, okay, well, now what do? I have WeChat, but it's empty. So what do I do?
Right.
And I don't know, everything started to just work out positively. And I got a message from VIP Kid that they were starting up again and that, come back, you can get these certifications. So I got 2 certifications that were beneficial, like the adult
Okay.
speaking and guided reading were the 2. And so I certified in those, and I started getting fully booked for peak hours. This
Okay.
was just like maybe just after Christmas, of this past year. So right after I took the course,
Yep.
I started getting fully booked. And my students this time around, they're not my same students from before. They are mostly teenagers, and they're
Okay.
mostly advanced. They're quite advanced. And so they're my regulars now. I teach them always. I'm every day I'm teaching these students, and they're fabulous. And so my thing was like, well, how do I'd like to offer them something. So I was thinking, well, what could I offer these students? Not to take them, but to offer something else, because I'm also a language student, and I have my school, but it's nice sometimes to have something else that you can do outside of your school. So I thought, well, I'd like to teach them group, in a group. They're all the same age, they're all the same level. I wish I could offer them a group class on the weekend, something that they could do that's different. I think they'd enjoy it. But how do I get them on WeChat? So what I did is I went on the Facebook group, the Going Solo Facebook group, and I just asked the question, what do you do? How do you get your students to follow you on WeChat so you can offer them something? And someone was like, just put an A4 size QR code in your background. And so I put the name of my school and it just says Teacher Jess and my QR code. And so I'm like, well, you know what? It doesn't hurt to try. So I printed it, I put it in my background. And my first lesson after putting it up was one of the teens. And she's like, is that your WeChat? I said, yeah. So she's on my WeChat. Then my next student, the same thing. And the next student, the same thing. And it just worked. And now I have all my students on WeChat. And they're older. And so they've been sending me messages like, oh, hey, Teacher Jess, I'm going to Hong Kong this weekend. I'm like, oh, fabulous, have fun. Or they'll send me things that they bought or whatever. So there's that communication there. So I don't really want, this has only been the last few weeks. I don't want to bombard them with hey, take my group class. So right now I'm just kind of building that trust with them and sending the messages back and forth. And I still see them on VIP Kid. And so now I'm taking this time to create this thing that I want to offer them and hope that it'll work. So I'm just at this point right now where I'm sort of repairing all of what could have happened 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I think it's great because it's such a nice, subtle way to just say, hey, you didn't even have to say anything, right? Everyone knows how to scan a QR code. So it's not like you're poaching students, you're not taking them off the platform. But in the event that, something happened, even with the VIP Kid that is VIP Kid now, you have some contacts, right? And you can sort of, like you say, slowly build trust and maybe offer, we talked before about this, and I think it could really work, is to offer maybe a free 30-minute, whatever you want to do, kind of maybe debate style of group class, like on a Saturday morning, or some kind of a discussion class around just a simple topic. It would be no prep for you. What I love about debate classes is that, once you sort of teach them the structure of it, the class is really run by them because they do it all. You just kind of facilitate it. So it's really nice. And group classes are great because you can charge them less and make more, so much more than you ever would with the company. So I love that. Kid having the cure company store for sure. Probably against the love of this. Yeah, I mean, Golden Pineapple says, don't tell them you are. Don't they tell? So you're not allowed I get what you're saying. You're not really allowed to specifically ask for their contact information and things like that. But what you're doing is, I think, is just very subtle and very, it's not poaching them into your private classes.
And I'm not saying anything
at
to
all
them either. So, and it's them asking to put it up there, and it's actually kind of hidden even during my lessons. It's a bit more hidden, and they see it and ask. So I'm like, I'll chance it.
Yeah, and what I used to say back in the 2021 time frame when all this was going on is that the company is never going to look out for you as a teacher in terms of
Yeah.
helping you get those students or to stay in contact. So, you need to take care of yourself at the end of the day. So I think it's
Yes.
a really good strategy.
Oh, someone else said that they've done this before, so that's good.
Yeah. Mary went through
Yeah.
my course before. Yeah, so she's got
Yeah.
some content. That's great. I think it's just a really effective way. Of course, I don't know what companies folks are working for, but you do have to be careful, especially if you're relying on that income. You don't want to certainly not advertise any private classes while
Right.
working for a company inside of their platform, and be very discreet about the way you keep in touch. But you haven't offered any classes, you haven't poached any students. You're just staying in touch, and that was always okay with VIP Kid. I mean,
Yes.
many teachers, myself included, had contact with all of our students, and I used to ask them for their WeChat in class. I had never with the intention of taking them off the platform. It
Right.
was just really nice to actually be able to share my schedule with them because I taught short notice. So I would share my short notice schedule, and if I had openings, they would fill right up the night before because I would just post the schedule right onto my WeChat and my students would
Yep.
grab them up. So it was never with the intention of teaching them privately, but boy, was I ever glad to have them when things did shut down, right? So yeah,
But
it just kind of
it also builds rapport a bit too with your students, especially with my older students because they're teens, and just like they'll send me these little stickers and stuff, and then when they see me in class, they kind of treat me more like this person that they already know rather than this like once a week one-on-one teacher from the other side of the world.
yeah,
Like I found that they treat me a little bit different too. Like they're happier to see me, like, oh hey, did you like
yeah,
the picture I sent? Or it helps to
yeah,
build rapport too, having them on there.
absolutely,
But the
absolutely.
first time I worked, like before the Chinese crackdown, though, all of my students were young learners, like really young learners. So this is really
Ah,
different for
okay.
me because now it's mostly teens. And before I was doing pre-K and like with the littles, and most of
Yeah,
my
yeah,
students were really
yeah.
young.
Okay.
So I'm enjoying this much more, I have to say, with the
Right,
older
right.
students.
So yeah, tell me about that. Like, do you prefer the teens more? And how did that happen? Just kind of by you opening your schedule, and those are the sort of students that booked you. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, so there's this class called Guided Reading 2, and it's 50
Okay.
minutes, and we read a book together, and it's quite advanced, and
Yeah.
I just seem to keep getting those bookings, the 50-minute guided
Okay.
reading, and you have to be advanced to be in that class. Like it's like we talk about science and geography, and that it's a lot, and they're
Advanced
really really
topics.
good. Yeah, so I'm mostly getting those where. In the old days, I was mostly doing like pre-K and like the level 1, so
Yeah. Right.
a big difference. Yeah.
I never did those. It's funny. Like I was a kindergarten teacher in public school, but when I worked for VIP Kid, I started to really enjoy like the 9, 10, 11, 12-year olds. And I'm sure I
Yeah.
would enjoy the teens too. I would never want to teach high school in public school, but teaching high school Chinese students is the
Yeah,
other end of the
same.
spectrum, I think.
Same.
Yeah.
I've never taught high school either. I've just I think age 10 was my highest, like in the school system. That was
Yeah.
enough for me. But yeah, I'm really liking the teens for sure. The Chinese teens
Yeah.
online. Yeah, they're quite serious too about learning. So and you
Yeah.
don't have to really control the room. Like they're there because they want to be there, and it's very obvious. So
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. So, talk to us about like what else are you doing? You mentioned TPT. How's that going?
Yeah. It's going really well. I have 41 products right now. I started that in
Okay.
May because as a kindergarten teacher, I was always kind of creating my own like flashcards and reward systems and like interactive songs and different things with my students. So I decided to just start putting them on there, and it grows
Yeah.
quickly. And so I have a goal to get to 100, like
Okay.
I think my goal for like the middle of February, I want to have 100 items. So I'm
Cool.
really
That's a great
working to
goal.
just to put it up there. So I have 41 right now. It's going really well. Things are selling. I think I want to change, and because right now it's all young learner stuff, and I think I want to make some things for the older kids now. So I'm brainstorming what I want to do. So, and I have my website that I started a year ago. So the same time I started with your course, and I just started writing about my journey in online teaching and teaching abroad and stuff like that. And I actually just finished 2 downloadable PDFs that I want to put onto my website to help teachers. And one of them is a guide to the Cambridge CELTA course because it's quite intense.
Okay.
And so I basically broke it down like step by step from like the application process to like the last day of class of what to expect, like details about the assignments, like everything. So I made that. And then I just made like a general teaching English online and abroad PDF.
Okay.
I just talk about like the different resources, like different TEFL certificates, the courses that I've taken, and I write about all these things for people who are just getting started. So hopefully I'll have that on my website. So yeah, a few different things I have going on right now.
Cool. I mean, that's really like how I started. I did a little bit of blogging around VIP kid topics, and then you get like a little bit of traction and people find you, and then it just, like anything online, it doesn't happen overnight. It kind of snowballs. Like it just builds and builds and builds, and then your brand just becomes a little bit bigger over time, right? Like, I mean, same thing like with YouTube. It was a slog for like a year, and then something does well. It could be like a blog post that you do just for some reason is exactly what people are searching for, and then then you just get this like spike in traffic, and people find you or download your thing, and then all these little things just start to build. So it's I just love that you're putting yourself out there and like creating things. And I've made like 20 different PDF downloads, testing things like what do people want to download in exchange for their email address. And you just through it all, you find what works, what doesn't work. And
and
for me, blogging was just too hard.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. For me, my goal that like a year ago when I decided I had enough with like being with a company and I wanted to move into a different direction with being more independent, my goal for me was to just do a little bit each day. Like you don't have to finish something grand, but every day I push myself to do a little bit of work, even if I don't feel like it. So a little bit. And before you know it, it grows. And I was thinking today, like if I look back to a year ago, I didn't have any of these things. So it's also good to look back, and even though even if you're not where you want to be, like you have to kind of look back and see what you've accomplished in a year and give yourself a bit of credit and see that it is working and that you got to keep going.
Absolutely, I could not agree more. Just do a little bit. It really makes a huge difference. So to those watching, I hope that speaks to you. Like just do a little bit every day towards whatever dream you have for your business. So yes, Mary learned the little bit a day. I'm glad in the last one. It's exactly what I say. Yeah, it does. And it just if for the course, it was a 2-week course when I was doing it live. And I mean, if you did 15, 30, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever a day towards something, like at the end of 2 weeks, if you've put in 10 to 15 hours towards something, like you're going to have progress. You're going to see that you've made progress. And then, like you say, you may not be exactly where you want to be, but you're closer to where you want to be. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So what's next for you? Like, what are you're gonna continue to nurture the students that you have?
Yeah, I want to because all of my stuff is for young learners, so I want to go into this whole teenager world now, and it's a whole world for me because I've never really had this experience before. So with these group classes, that's what I'm trying to do, is just to create something I can offer my students, because I think that my students would have so much fun together, but instead of being one-on-one with a teacher, I really think they would enjoy it. So that's my whole plan now, is to plan these group lessons and see where it goes. And like you've said before in the past, like maybe those students would recommend me to somebody else that they know who's looking for lessons, and then I can offer one-on-one or, go from there. So I think the group lessons with my teens is sort of the thing that I need to focus on right now. So that's really my goal for the near future, to focus on planning something that I can
Nice.
offer them.
And while you were just mentioning that, I was thinking like it's a great way, especially if it's just a free thing that you run for a little while. Maybe you could do it in terms of like a month with the ones that you have, and then get them to invite one friend each or something like that, to
Right.
maybe create another group class maybe the next month. Maybe you just run it for a month, and if they enjoy it, say, hey, could you ask a friend to join for the next one? I'm going to be doing this again next month
Right.
for 4 weeks. And then you're sort of growing your contact list just organically
Yes.
from the ones you have. But then it would be much easier to offer your classes to those maybe potentially new students, because they're not your current VIP Kids students. So
Exactly. Yes. And that's what I was hoping too, was like for the whole referrals. Like I'm like, oh, if I can get the group students to refer me to other people, this would be perfect. So, and it is possible. It really is. And I think once you have the WeChat contacts, it just, everything just kind of grows.
yeah.
So
Yep. Golden Pineapple says, I want to do a little bit a day, but WeChat channels are not available in my region. Where are you? What would be your next go-to app to promote myself, my brand, with educational videos and a QR code? Okay, so in terms of WeChat, you're not going to, even if you were able to have WeChat, you're not going to be able to do a lot of outside, if any, marketing on WeChat. An app like Xiaohongshu for the Chinese market would be an app that you could use to sort of reach a wider audience, but it's always recommended that you then take those leads onto WeChat. So if you're working with the Chinese market, you really do need to have WeChat. I'd be curious where you're located. I don't know certain regions that don't allow it, or if maybe you're able to get a VPN. But again, it's really comes down to knowing who are your students and where are they hanging out. Because if your students are not, if the students that you want to teach are not Chinese, then there's no sense in even worrying about WeChat. You could use Facebook if you're targeting, a different market, or, Instagram. It really just depends on who is your ideal student, who's your target student that you're going after, and then figuring out, okay, so what social media apps would they be using? It's really just quite unique with China, because they don't use the social media apps generally that we do, unless they're using a VPN. So it's a slightly different market in that way. But yeah, I'd sort of get you to think about, are you trying to teach adults? LinkedIn could be a good resource. Facebook, of course, is good for most regions in the world, but it just depends on who you're wanting to teach, and then figuring out where they are online so that you can create content that attracts them, and then you're able to, have conversations with them. A long-winded answer, but it really just depends. Word of mouth is a good way to get students as well. Absolutely. I've heard that Xiaohongshu is quite strict with promoting a business. That's why I'm staying off it at the moment. Yeah, I mean, no. My answer to that is yes and no. No, because it's just like Instagram, and people promote businesses on Xiaohongshu all day long in every single niche. There's millions of users on it, so there's no harm in that. You just want to be a little bit careful about promoting an educational business where you're tutoring students. So that's why it's recommended to absolutely use it, create content, but when you get leads, bring them onto WeChat so that you can have those more private conversations about your classes. Your community, ethnic, my students are, sorry, Kathy, my students are Chinese, but lived in Michigan where I live. They have local friends. Awesome. Your community, ethnic restaurant. Sorry, I don't get the reference to that, Mary. Maybe I'm not reading the original message. Yeah, so exciting things coming for you, Jess. That's great. I really can't wait to hear how things go, and to get an update on everything.
thank you.
Yeah, no, again, really, thanks so much for coming on. If anyone has any questions for Jess, feel free. We'll hang out for a couple more minutes here, and I've linked your website and your TPT store down below in the description. So if people want to check that out, I'm assuming they can get in touch with you if they had a question about how you're doing things, maybe through your website.
Yeah, and everything,
You're
all
very
my
welcome.
contact information is on my website, email address and WhatsApp and all of that.
Okay, awesome. Did we cover everything? Sometimes I miss out on things because you go
Yeah,
in a
I
different
think
direction.
so. I made my point form list, and I think so.
Yeah. Was there anything
Yeah.
else that we left out that you wanted to share or
I have one more thing I wanted
introduce?
to say, actually. Yes,
Yeah, sure.
because the one thing I wanted to say, maybe for people who don't have private students yet, and maybe they're not building their business because of that. I was going to say, don't
Yeah.
let that be the reason. Build it anyways, because even, for example, my private students in Italy who've come to me, it's so nice when they say, hey, my daughter, I want her to take some lessons, can you do this? And to already have your business built is great, because you can say, yeah, these are some of the, like, this is the curriculum I use, like what type of classes is she looking for. You can have an educated conversation about your business and like speak with confidence about it once you've already
Yes.
built it. So like, don't let the lack of students stop you from building this thing, because make the packages, like figure out your niche, do all of that stuff, and then when the students come to you, which they will, you will be ready.
Yes. I'm so glad I asked you if you had anything left to say, because I think that's just a perfect way to end, because that is so true. Don't let not having students stop you from getting started, because as you say, I have spoke to a lot of teachers who have students, maybe that are interested, but they're just not ready and they don't have the answers and they lack the confidence to kind of move forward
Yes.
with it. And they're gonna those students are gonna find somebody else quickly. So I love that. Be prepared and build that, because as you're building it, it's going to create that excitement for yourself. I
Yes,
mean, I
and the
can hear
fear
the
goes away.
excitement in your voice. Yeah, the fear
Like,
goes away and you
it
start to
does.
see yourself as a business and that you
Yeah.
really can do this. So I love that. Yeah. Thanks, Jess. This was really, really
Thank
fun. Thanks so
you.
much
Thank
for
you.
coming on. And yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time. And I know those watching live do too, as well as those that watch the replay. So thanks again. What's
Well,
next for
thanks for
you today?
having
You gotta,
me.
yeah,
I might go for a walk in the mountains. I live in a small
perfect.
village, so I'm going to go outside.
Awesome. Well, thanks
Yes.
again and have a wonderful rest of the day. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, Tim.
Bye-bye. That was awesome. Thanks everyone for watching, and for those that watch the replay, please watch this through. I think it's really inspiring to hear other people, doing the thing and getting their teaching business started. And I'm excited to see what happens with Jess's students. So again, thanks for joining me today. We will be back next Monday. I'm hoping to have some of the speakers that will be at the summit next Monday. And if you haven't already registered, please do so at levelupteachingsummit.com. That is the place you can go to find out all about our Level Up online teaching summit happening on November 10th and 11th. Today is the last day for the early bird price, the platinum ticket, where you get all the replays, special gifts from the speakers for only $27. So good value there for sure. And but if that's not for you, you can certainly still come both mornings live for completely free. So thanks again, everybody, for being here, and we'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Take care.